Breaking news, Iran's foreign minister says nuclear negotiations will not be finished today. Surprise! That's right, it won't happen today. Maybe it will happen. In the meantime, Donald Trump tripling down, getting voters all fired up about immigration. Thousands and thousands of supporters in Arizona. It was like a rock concert cheering on Donald Trump. Say what you will about the messenger, but getting the big crowds. Texas Governor Greg Abbott says the message, it's a message that's resonating. We know it's resonating, Governor. Welcome to the show. But is it a double-edged sword? You know, for every person that we see down there, we see maybe the unfavorables also moving up. Is it worth it?
Well, here's the deal. What Donald Trump is talking about is an issue that all candidates are talking about, and that's because it's a pressing issue in our country right now, and that is securing our border. I would say that the tenor that Donald Trump has used is not the tenor that I would use. It is important, however, to emphasize that the only reason why this is being talked about is because Washington, D.C. has completely failed America in doing its job to secure the border, which is why I, as governor of Texas, stepped up and did what the federal government has not done. We passed a bill that puts $800 million into securing our border. We have the toughest border security plan any state has ever had.
How does $800 million look? It's not a big wall, right? You're not talking about building a wall. $800 million is a lot of money. How does it look in reality?
Boots on the ground is the most important thing. High technology, where we will have cameras that will look at almost every one of the 1,200-mile border that we have with Mexico. We have airplanes in the air. I've been in these before, where you can see both at day and at night the traffic coming across the border, boats on the water, and high technology. Combined, this will allow us to do the most effective job of securing our border.
What about the ability to respond? Because I already can see a bunch of illegals walking across and saying hi to the cameras. In other words, it's one thing to have a camera. It's another thing to be able to respond, because already we have plenty of photographs of illegals strolling through. There's no protection.
That's why we have the boots on the ground. We're adding Texas Department of Public Safety officers who can make arrests, and that's what is needed. We need people down there making arrests, and so for the first time we will have the forces who can make the arrests, who can secure the border.
What do you think? Why doesn't this message resonate in Washington, D.C.? And why are we now up to over 200 sanctuary cities? So essentially, we're rolling out the red carpet. We're begging people to break into our country.
I think Washington, D.C. either A, doesn't care, or worse, is promoting this. Remember this, a concept embedded in the United States Constitution is the federal government must protect our sovereignty. They've completely failed in protecting our sovereignty and securing our border, and that's why the states are stepping up and doing what the federal government has failed to do.
A cynic would say that Democratic lawmakers in Washington, D.C., particularly the president, sees these illegals as future voters. And that's why you don't do anything about it. They come, they assimilate, and sooner or later they get the opportunity to vote. You see it that way?
I see it.
Because they talked about taking the great state of Texas down eventually because of demographics. Don't forget, last week, California became more Hispanics than whites, making the second state in the union. The next one will be Texas.
Well, remember this, and that is the promise that we see come from the Texas economy. I've seen Hispanics turn into Republicans because they see Republican policies work. Second, my wife is the first Latina First Lady in the history of the state of Texas, and we have a great connection between the Republican Party and the Hispanic community, where I got about 45% of the Hispanic vote in this last election. And that's because of opportunity. It doesn't matter what race you are, what background you come from. Everyone wants economic opportunity, and that is what Texas provides.
How do you articulate that? Because I've had this conversation with very staunch conservatives, and a lot of them have written off the Hispanic vote, the black vote, sometimes whatever vote it is, and they say, well, we could never win a state like California or maybe Florida, New York. I think they're wrong. How would you articulate that for them?
I think that everyone of any kind of background wants to have freedom, liberty, which is what the United States of America stands for, at least Texas. The United States of America is getting away from the liberty that was guaranteed by the Constitution. The second thing is everyone wants the chance to be able to dream and achieve and work toward a goal. Texas offers that, whereas what Washington, D.C. offers is more of a socialistic type system, a one-size-fit-all mandate about the way your life is supposed to run.
That's not in our DNA. I mean, you go all the way back and you go to some people who came to this country from Europe. They went back and said, distinct difference. We've never seen a country like America where everybody, no matter where they're born in life, believe that they can go higher in the rankings. Of course, the Europeans looked at us 200 years ago and even today as being arrogant for believing that. Let's talk about Hillary Clinton, because she's been speaking today. Her economic policy sounds distinctly different than the things that you just laid out. She said, no, this is the way you do it. Infrastructure, tax relief for small businesses, better child care, making college more affordable, collective bargaining, and of course, most important, taxing those rich people because they're stealing and sucking up all the money and opportunities.
It's going to be more of the Obama-style economic theory that's been disastrous for this country. Texas offers something completely different. If Washington, D.C. would follow what Texas has done, they would see the job growth that Texas has seen. What I just did as governor is, as other states were increasing taxes, we lowered taxes in Texas. We cut taxes by about $4 billion.
You don't have income tax already, right?
Yeah, get this. We don't have any personal income tax.
Right.
We don't have any corporate income tax. We do have a business franchise tax that we just slashed by 25%, and we cut property taxes on top of that. And get this. In addition to that, we did invest more in transportation infrastructure, in schools, while also coming in under budget. We did not spend all the money that came in, so we had a budget surplus.
Now, critics, of course, say, come on. I mean, we started this whole interview off with an alert out of Iran on oil. Oil's had an amazing run, over $100 a barrel. You guys have just been the beneficiaries of a gigantic, massive economic windfall, and there's nothing else that you're doing special. What would you reply to a critic?
To the contrary, despite the fact that oil is half the price today of where it was a year ago, Texas this last month still came in third in the nation with regard to new job growth, and there's a reason for it, and that's because our economy is diversified. We have airlines. We have American Airlines and Southwest Airlines. We just had a big Facebook deal that we cut. General Motors tomorrow is spending $1.4 billion to expand manufacturing in the state of Texas. We have the most diverse economy in the United States of America, and Charles, there is a reason for it, and that's because of the low cost of doing business, because of the high standards of the workforce. Businesses are flocking to the state of Texas.
How do you feel? I mean, you do a lot of traveling. I know a lot of governors travel a lot, but I noticed that you do a lot of traveling. How do you feel about the rest of the nation? Forgetting about Texas, the great state of Texas for a moment, a lot of people have given up on the far left, far right. I just feel the sense that a lot of Americans have given up. How can we get them to believe, even if they don't live in a state like Texas, that it's still possible?
Well, the reason is because of competition. Competition leads to better products. And here's one thing that happened just over the past month, and that is Jeff Immelt and GE announced to Connecticut, when Connecticut announced they were raising taxes, Immelt said they're going to have to reconsider whether or not they stay in Connecticut. I sent a letter the next day to Jeff Immelt saying, come to Texas. And now suddenly Connecticut is saying, well, we may have to rethink those tax increases. And so through the theory of competition, by Texas leading the way, by Texas attracting jobs from Connecticut, from Rhode Island, from New York, it's going to force these states to build a better product and hence build a better United States of America.
I hope you're right. I really do. It's really what you guys have done, what your predecessor has done is absolutely remarkable. I'm glad you made it in today. We really appreciate your time, Governor.
Thank you.
Governor Greg Abbott, thanks very much. All right.